Red Lanterns number 3, written by Peter Milligan, art by Ed Benes. Where we last left off, Atrocitus had decided that he needs a second in command, but who could he possibly choose? This issue begins with, he's already chosen and is already throwing them into the blood pit. He chose Bleeze, if it isn't evident by the cover of this issue. Bleeze is thrown into the blood pit, which will apparently rewire her brain, make her smarter, or at least as smart as she was, I guess, and be able to talk in complete sentences. And so this goes on for 3 pages, where Atrocitus is like, oh, all the other lanterns, they're filled with nothing but self anger, they're just blind fury. But now Bleeze is descending into the bottom of this blood ocean. She's getting all of her hate and rage more under control. She's getting her old memories back, and now she remembers why she was so angry. She was once a beautiful woman on some planet where everyone basically looks like blue-skinned angels, and some yellow lantern came up, killed, I think, her mother, and then ripped off her wings after also doing some other less PG-13 things. And so then we cut back to Earth for the story that I believe was last updated at the end of issue 1, where one of the guys is upset that his grandfather died. He's about to throw a Molotov at the guy who he knows did it, but again, I don't know if he knows. He throws it at the guy's house, and basically his brother comes in. His brother's name is Jack, and he's like, hey, dude, you're going to end up in prison. Stop with the uncontrolled anger. And the brother, who I genuinely don't remember his name, and they don't mention it in here, so I'm not going to bother with it, is like, dude, I know you're just as angry as I am, but you just refuse to show it. You're a coward, and you won't admit it to yourself. And then we're done with that. So then we cut back to Bleeze coming out of Blood Ocean, and Bleeze is like, okay, kind of pissed off that you put me in the ocean without my permission. I get that I couldn't really give permission, but consent is 2/3 of the law. And clearly you need something, though, or else you would never do it. What's up? And she basically says, okay, I need a second in command. I need someone who's going to help me get righteous fury throughout the universe. And she's like, no, I'm in too much pain now. I'm hurt and I'm wounded and I'm of no use to bring together a corps. And he's like, cool, all right, well, we're going to have to get you over that. So they go back to her home planet, and she's like, well, I really don't want to be here, so what are we doing? And he's like, well, the person who ripped off your wings and did those less than PG-13 things to you? And she's like, yeah, I killed him already. And he's like, well, there's actually more of a backstory to that. And he reveals that the only reason that Yellow Lantern came to her in the first place was because there were 2 people who asked for her hand in marriage that she ever so politely declined with the phrase, you want my hand? Please, I would rather be buried alive and eaten by blind slugs than spend one night with you. So they were a little bit bitter, and they sent this Yellow Lantern in her direction, saying how she would never get with a Yellow Lantern so beneath her. So it was, the Yellow Lantern getting his pride back. I don't know. Everyone sucks in this story. But basically, Atrocitus lets her know that these people exist, and she's like, all right, cool. Let's go take care of that. But first, we need to make a pit stop. And they go to the place where Bleeze's mother is buried, or at least interred. And Atrocitus is like, are you kidding? We're not going to... God damn it, won't you just listen to me, Bleeze? And Bleeze is like, hey, you care about... The whole reason you're doing this is for your dead family. At least let me have this. And Atrocitus is like, fine, take a minute. And she walks up to her mother's corpse and is like, hey, it's your daughter. And she spits a loogie on her face and says, all this is because you wanted me to get married so badly. You suck, Mom. And then they leave. So they find their way to the place where these suitors are. They start crashing through all the security because I guess they're rich. And they're like, I don't know how she managed to connect us with that Yellow Lantern guy, but we should probably leave. And as they're about to leave, they both bust in. They rip off one of the guy's heads, and the other one is begging for mercy. And Bleeze is like, okay, I'll spare you. And Atrocitus is like, excuse me? And Bleeze is like, oh, but I will come back for you. Like, you will have to live in fear every day that I will be coming back for your head. You will always be looking over your shoulder. And Atrocitus is like, no! And he stabs the guy through the stomach, and it's like, that's not how we don't do things subtly. We're giant hulking red lanterns. And she's like, well, then you may as well have just not given back my intellect, you prick. So anyway, now that her thing is done, she goes back to the planet. She takes all the ravenous red lanterns, calms them down, and is like, all right, we're all gonna, come on, stop your ravenous stuff. We're gonna all work here for a common goal. And Atrocitus is like, all right, cool, good, glad this is, wait a minute, because Bleeze looks way too, like, self-confident about all this. And she's like, did she plan that? Did she plan all of this? The whole me throwing her in the, she didn't, no, did she? And that's where it leaves off, as Atrocitus is basically like, Bleeze might be more trouble than I actually thought she would be. Just going to point out there, because of Bleeze's more risque outfit, this last panel is just her ass. It's just her ass. Nothing else. Okay. This was good. So far, these Red Lantern issues have all felt pretty standalone, all things considered. Like, yes, there is a through line, but like each one is their own beat. Like, there's no real while there is a cliffhanger, more or less, it's such a mild cliffhanger that it genuinely doesn't feel like, we're moving the same story forward. Like the fact that the cliffhanger for issue 2 is, which one will I pick? And then he's not only has he already decided, he's already done it. He's already thrown them into the blood pit. It just feels a little bit disconnected. Not that that's a bad thing inherently, but it is something to be aware of. Overall, I did really like this issue. There are some flaws to it, though. The fact that it just felt like, okay, well, we're just kind of introducing Bleeze, so we just have to give her more of a backstory, and so that's what they just created, 2 characters out of nowhere of like, no, these were the people who were actually responsible for your pain. I guess it feels a bit lazy to me, but I guess it's fine. I do like the rivalry setting up between Atrocitus and Bleeze. I think it's going to go good places. Art-wise, it's fine. It's very good. I can't complain about anything. Very visceral at times. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 6.5. And yeah, I mean, it's Red Lanterns. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, because it's basically the creation of a new core story, which I'm interested in, considering I never read the entire formation of every other core.